Welcome to Volvo Construction Equipment Shippensburg. Volvo is leading international manufacturer of premium construction equipment. Our facility has been part of the local community for over 40 years, and in 2007 was acquired by Volvo Construction Equipment. Since then, two product lines have been localized: the soil and asphalt compactors and the wheel loaders. Operations include welding, large machining, paint, and assembly. Additionally, this site serves as the headquarters for Sales Region Americas, as well as Global Technology Hub. In 2014, the Customer Center opened, and in 2023, the opening of the Training Center solidified the site as a multifunctional North American hub. VCE customers working in segments like mining, waste recycling, heavy infrastructure, and road building visit Shippensburg for support in operating the equipment. Volvo CE continues to be the forefront of technology development. In fact, Volvo CE is electrifying many of its machines, including the electric compactor right here in Shippensburg. We are currently the oldest heavy equipment manufacturer in the world. Starting in 1832, Volvo started with the wheel loader, which essentially was a tractor turned around backwards with a front end loader put on it and a counterweight put on the other side. So here's the beginning process of the wheel loader, Zone 1 on our wheel loader line. First off, we have the frame that comes in on a cradle over here where they're going to put all the valves in, wiring harnesses, and get everything ready to bring it over here to Zone 1. And they're going to set it on the axle, and they bolt the axle in there, and after that we're going to move into Zone 2 up here. Okay, over here is our front frame assembly line. So this is where we start building the front frames, which is in front of the wheel loader. What we do is we get all the wiring put in, we put bearings in the back side of the front frame. This is actually the front. We send it up the line, actually turned around because it's easier for us to work on. But we'll put our accumulators in it, our valves, some of our hosing, the wiring here in Zone 1. Once all that's done, they're going to complete their process for Zone 1. They're going to move on to Zone 2. Moving up in here to Zone 2. Zone 2 is where we actually put our actual main valve in. So the main valve will come over on this cart over here, which is built up in a separate sub area. He'll pick that up with the crane, and then he'll move that main valve inside of here. He's going to bolt the main valve down. He's going to put all his tubes inside there. Some of the hosing goes in right now, and then there'll be a hose that comes out the back side of it too. So once we get done with this process in Zone 2, we move into Zone 3 up here where we do pretty much all of our hosing. So Zone 3 is where we primarily do most of our hosing on the front frame. So the valve's in there, so we're going to run a lot of hoses in through the back side. We get our boom suspension hoses put on inside there, hook all this stuff up there. Once all that's hooked up, there's some things we hook up underneath, so pretty much all your hosing is going into your valves. On the other side of the frame that we have over here, we'll actually when we send the hoses through, that's for the main valve. Now, we got what's called a third function option. We'll hose this up and we'll run these up here, which at the end of the line we'll see where those hoses get hooked up with the boom when the boom gets installed. Part of the process that comes next is what they'll do is we got the axle sitting here. We got the operator in Zone 4 will build up the axle on a cart over here. So he has that setting down now. So what he's getting ready to do, he's going to hook the chains up. He's going to hook to this frame, and we're going to pick it up and we're going to set it right down on the axle. Okay, so now we're over in some of our sub-assembly areas. So this is the area where we get the engine delivered from our MSC, our material warehouse. The engine will get delivered over here. They'll come in here, have the assembler go ahead and start assembling the options and things that we put on our engines. Once they're done with that, it'll get moved over here onto a stand. It gets put on the stand. Transmissions are also built up over here. Once that transmission's built up, that's where they get delivered. He'll build that transmission up, and then they'll marry that engine and transmission together, get it all ready. So once they're done with this process here, engine, transmission, got the pumps that go on here, everything's pretty much ready to go to be set down inside the frame of the wheel loader. They'll bring this over to the side of the line. They'll have that staged there. They got everything pretty much set up for the next move, so as soon as the line moves, they'll be ready to set that engine down in that frame. So the guys will get ready and put that in. Right now they're setting the engine and transmission down inside the frame. We have two operators, one's helping guide it, the other one will help guide the transmission into place. They're going to set that thing down in there, hook up all the wiring, the hosing, everything that goes in with the engine. Moving into zone 5 up here, this is where we're going to put our cooling packages, the radiator. So right now they're getting everything prepped up. They're going to end up lifting up this whole cooling package here. It has your fan, your radiator, and everything associated to that. They're going to pick it up, they're going to put it in, they're going to hook everything up, your hoses to the radiator for cooling the engine, the hydraulic lines for the hydraulic fans. And they have the fuel separator that they're going to hook up too that gets mounted to the side of the structure. Right now he has the cooling package picked up. They're going to bring it over on the crane. They're going to set it down into place and start hooking everything up, the hydraulic lines, the coolant lines from the engine, things that go through the DPF and everything like that. So this is the area where we build up all of our cylinders and actually install them onto the front frame. So we get them built up, we install them with the pins and everything, hose everything up, and then once we're done with that whole process, they'll come around the other side and they'll pull this frame actually over into our staging area for zone 7 where they'll marry that to the frame. So right here's zone 7. This is where we're going to pick up the front frame. It gets brought over from the front frame line, and we're going to marry it to the rear frame. So they're going to put that, slide that in there. There's two little gussets that it kind of goes into, and they're going to put some frozen pins in there and put that together. They also hook up the steering cylinders, which come from the rear frame. That's what steers the machine. It articulates in the center. Into zone 8 here. This is the station where we're going to set the cab on the machine. They're going to hook up the steering orbital. They're going to put the brake pedal in it. They'll hook up the AC lines to it, back of the cab wiring harness, And then eventually they'll put the toolbox on, the steps, battery boxes are on the other side. So right now they're setting the cab down. As we set this cab down, we have these big blocks that we set this on. So we set them down on there, that way we can get up underneath it. We have put these isolator blocks in, that's what's gonna bolt that cab down. They're gonna put the pedal in and the steering orbital while that's still up on them blocks. Down here in zone 9, main line of the wheel loaders, one of the first steps that this guy does is he puts on what some people call a rear bumper. It's a rear counterweight of the machine. He's installing that right now. So we actually have a torque arm that comes in. They'll run them bolts up to the specific torque ratio. Also in this zone, what he does is he adds all the fluids to it: diesel, hydraulic, transmission fluid, charges the air conditioning. And then he'll bleed out the cylinders, bleed the brakes. He'll run what they call a process program to program the ECU of the computer so the machine knows how to talk to itself and how to run properly. And we always check for any problems right now in this zone too. So this is where we're going to find if there's any issues coming down the line. Hood subassembly area. So our hoods are built primarily from scratch. So we get these pieces brought in, which are our structure pieces. These are for a small hood. The big hoods come in another emballage kit. But we put everything together here from scratch. We build the frames for them. We put the hood skins on. And as you can see, kind of going up through our hood process, coming up the little bit of a line here that we got going on. They're working on this. They have the sides on this one now. So they're inside running the camera cables. And as we kind of move up through how they have this set up right now, it's kind of like a progression of how the hood's going together. So they have the top on this, they have the decals on it, they're waiting on to put the stack on this one. So this is basically, I'd say 98% done. Then we also have what's for our 110, 120 models, which is our larger models we have. This hood here is done also minus the stack. So these are a little bit different to build, but like I said, we do everything here in-house, pretty much from scratch. Put our skins on, we build our grills, we put our emblems on, everything like that. The hoods actually get a lot of what the options are that hook in at the back of the machine. So we actually have a radar detect, we have a rear backup camera, we have reverse warning lights, license plate lights, low moving vehicle signs. So there's a lot of options to get put on in this area. This is a very work-intensive area, which requires a good bit of talent for actually adding these options. All right, over here in zone 10, this is where we install the hoods. So we'll pick it up with the overhead crane. He'll guide that in place. He'll set it down and start the bolts in that. We'll end up hooking up the actuator, which controls our hood. They open and close by a switch. Also here in Shippensburg, we actually mount our own tires on our rims. So we have a process here where right now they're getting ready to put the tires down on the rims. These are 3-piece rims. So we got the rim, they'll set the ring on, they'll put the O-ring in it, and they'll put the snap ring on top of it, or the split ring. Once we get them aired up, after we get everything mounted up, we'll put enough air in it to get them up on, and they go in our tire cages over here where they'll finish airing up for safety reasons. Okay, so now here we are at the final stage of our assembly line in Zone 11. So this zone here, what we're doing is we're hanging the boom on the front frame, the very front of the machine, first step of the process. So to put the boom in place, they're going to install all the pins and bolt everything down. They're going to put lift cylinders and tilt cylinders in it. And then eventually they're going to lift the machine up. There's a lift in the floor. They're going to lift the machine up, and they're going to put the tires on it. One of the very last steps after that, they put the tires on, they torque them, and then it rolls out the door. So out here at our test track, we take our machines and we put them through the ringers. We put them through so many stress tests, load tests, you name it. Anything that we think our customers are going to put these machines through, we try to not so much as punish them, but to try to make sure that we know that our equipment is up to par, that it's going to live up to the standards that we've built for our reputation throughout years and years of testing technology. So we will heat test these things, stress test these things, we'll drive them at speeds, run all the functions, make sure everything's perfect before it gets out to our customer. Thank you for tuning in today and seeing how our product is made here at our site in Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. If you want any more information or would like to learn more about our product, visit us at our website. And once again, thank you for tuning in.